Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. So in today's video, we're going to be continuing the Zero Legion Champions series, and this is going to be episode number 2. So to recap where we had left off before, we started our Zero from level 0, and then we got it all the way to level 248. The current stats of the Zero were about 14 mil CP, and we did solo Hard Lotus. And in episode number 2, there's going to be even more content. I'm super excited to start this episode off. So first things first, we did end up finishing the item burning. We got to level 260 and we did solo easy lucid. This was pretty easy considering that we did do Hard Lotus on this character, so it wasn't too much of a struggle being 14 mil CP, and especially since you get so many symbols, the Arcane Force gate was not a problem at all. This definitely helped this character though, as item burning is super good for a character when you're first starting off. This definitely helped with training and also other bosses that we will be doing in this episode as well. So once we finished item burning, we decided to go and do a real Hard Lotus solo, and it wasn't bad at all. The time was much better than the first time originally. I'm still getting used to this class, and I'm definitely not comboing correctly on this class, but I am getting better at it overall. Once we soloed Hard Lotus, we decided to jump into Hard Damien and give it a shot, and we did end up soloing Hard Damien. This was a 30-minute clear though. I do not think that Zero is the best class for Hard Damien, because in P3 there are a ton of balls that give you the damage reduction, and since Zero is such a DPM heavy class, it's very hard to bait the balls and then actually be able to do a ton of damage within that time frame that you have. But regardless, we did end up getting the Hard Damien solo out of the way. Unfortunately, we did not get any drops from either of the bosses, but it is cool to say that we were able to solo these bosses so early on. I think it was under a week's time it took to solo Hard Lotus and Hard Damien. I believe it was about 5 days from character creation to soloing these bosses. So it just goes to show for people who are going out there and starting new characters that you can do these bosses very early if you have an established account, and you do not need super high funding for this as well. So once we got those done, we ended up getting our meso and drop gear. Meso and drop gear is going to be super important for this character, not only for familiars, but it's also going to be very important for our 6 job as well. When you get to level 260, fragments and soul urta energy are extremely important for your character's growth. So we did end up getting our meso and drop gear, and like the rest of this character, we got very lucky when cubing for meso and drop gear. I think we spent like 10 bill total potentially. I don't really know. I didn't count out exactly how much we spent, but we did get all of our baseline meso and drop gear, 100% meso and 60% drop. And along the way, we did get 2 hybrids and we did get 1 double drop item, which I was super excited about. Getting this drop gear early on is going to help the progression of this character so much, because the more soul urta you can get and the more soul urta fragments you can get, the quicker you can gain damage. So after we got our meso and drop gear, we finished up our grind in Limina and we got to level 260. Once we got to level 260, we started to work on our 6 job. And let me tell you, this is extremely fast compared to what it was before. I think it took me like 2 minutes to fill up an entire stone when I was on 3x and VIP boosters, which is extremely insane. I think before it took like 3 hours to finish your 6 job, and now after the update, it is so quick to actually finish the 6 job, get it out of the way, and start grinding frags. So once we finished our 6 job, we pretty much just continued to grind our Zero. And we started grinding in Cernium as well, and the EXP was actually pretty good. It was a lot better than Lim, and you don't really feel that jump from 250 to 260 anymore because of how good the grinding is in Cernium. And especially since this is an item burning character, we did get that level 5 Cernium symbol immediately, which allowed us to actually train at Cernium and not lose out on any kill rate. I will say though, the one thing that is a bit annoying about training this character is that I don't have a vac pet, and I've been grinding with a vac pet for so long that manually looting is just so foreign to me now. So we did kind of have to relearn how to go and loot everything efficiently. So although we don't have a vac pet, we still are getting a pretty decent kill rate. Obviously with a vac pet it would be a lot better, and hopefully they'll be releasing one soon so we can get one on this character. you are restricted from a lot of maps without a vac pet unless you want to just sacrifice looting anything, which I personally didn't want to do, so I just stayed at a lower kill rate map. And this is a newer character as well, so it doesn't have the gear to go and train at a lot of these other maps that you could if you were stronger with the Soul Janice. So after we trained the Zero a bit more, we did end up getting it to about 262. So we decided to go and try to Star Force this character. This character has no items over 17 stars besides the items that we were given from the item burning. So I wanted to try and Star Force our weapon. And we tried to Star Force it a few days earlier and it didn't go so well. But we went and tried to attempt it again with about 8 bill. And we did end up 22ing our Zero's weapon, which is really nice. For those of you who do not know, like I explained in the last video, if you 22 star the weapon early on, which for me it's like a Fafnir weapon, those stars and the potential and the flame will all transfer from Fafnir to an Apso weapon to an arcane weapon to eventually a liberated weapon. So it's really nice getting this weapon out of the way early. It is the cheapest that it's going to be to Star Force currently. And on top of Star Forcing the Zero's weapon, we also did end up 22 starring our Black Bead Mark, which is going to be our drop gear for the time being. We almost were able to 22 star Arcana's ring, but unfortunately it did boom at 20 stars. But that is going to be expected throughout this entire series. Not everything is going to be perfect the entire way through. We are going to have our ups and downs. But overall, this character has been very, very good with RNG. And hopefully it continues to go that way moving forward. We do have a Shining Star Force event coming up this weekend, and hopefully during this Shining Star Force we can make a ton of gains on our overall gear, like our CRAs and any other spares that we do have. So after doing all of this, the current Zero stats are this right now. We do have a bit of levels in our mastery, and we obviously have our origin unlocked. I don't have any of the other skills unlocked for Zero because it is more efficient to go the route of upgrading the masteries first and then moving into the other skills later on. Since Zero is such a DPM heavy class, it's super important to get these skills upgraded first and not the burst skills because of how much damage this class actually does over time. So after leveling the Zero to level 263 and getting to our current stats, we're about 23 to 24 mil CP at the moment. So I wanted to try and go and jump into a few bosses and see how this class would actually perform in some of these higher tier bosses. And we hopped into Sea Gloom and we ended up getting it down to, I think it was about 40 to 50%, which I was actually super excited about. We have very low spec gear, so being able to get it down this far definitely means that we are very close to being able to soloing Sea Gloom within a week of character creation, which is absolutely insane. And like I talked about before, Zero is a very DPM heavy class, so Gloom is not an ideal boss to be min clearing. And hopefully in the next episode we can work on getting those C10 bosses cleared as early as possible. After we tried to solo Sea Gloom, we wanted to hop into Hard Will and see how that was going to go. Will was definitely going to be more of a favorable boss for Zero because you are able to DPM the entire time of the fight, unlike Gloom. And unfortunately, I did very poorly in P1, and our P1 ended up taking 22 minutes to actually get out of. I definitely could have optimized that a lot more, but it's been so long since we've done such a min spec solo that I was very bad in balancing both phases in P1. After we got out of P1, we entered into P2, and surprisingly, we actually did very well in P2. We ended up getting it down 70% in 7 minutes, so I definitely think we could do Hard Will right now. Maybe we need to be a little bit stronger, but optimization in P1 is definitely the hardest part in Will for me right now. So hopefully in the near future we can get the solo done as soon as possible. Definitely after Shining Star Force we'll be able to reattempt some of these bosses, and once we get a little bit more 6-job. But nonetheless, this makes me extremely excited to try out all these bosses and see how low spec we can actually go to soloing them. And this is where the episode is going to end. A lot of content in this episode. We're finishing up getting a lot of these early game upgrades like our drop rate and just getting our gear to 17 stars overall and getting like our Golux and all that other stuff out of the way. Hopefully in the next episode we can try to reattempt soloing some of these C10 bosses, but overall this is going very well. I'm extremely excited for episode 3 and what we'll be able to do, and I hope you guys are as well. This series has been nothing but fun for me, and this is just the beginning. We still have a ton more things to accomplish in this series, so look forward to those in the very near future. But with that being said, guys, that is going to wrap up the Zero Legion Champion episode number 2. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Peace.